We'll see. Hi, welcome to another episode of First Connect. This is a webcast of First Baptist Church, and it's your bridge from one Sunday to the next, connecting people, places, things, some funnies every now and then.
Philosophy, history, communications,
deep thoughts, all these kind of things. So on the home front this week, what say you?
What do I say? I say that fall is here.
It is.
And it is feeling outstanding out there. I mean, I'll call what I'm feeling out there like football weather. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's coming a little bit late, and it's been really strange that it hasn't also been coupled with me finding myself at a lot of football games.
No, not right now.
It's been very strange, but man, we went out and we don't do this often. So we've got the 4 little kids ranging from 8 down to 3, and they're just getting big enough where we can go take that dusk into early nighttime neighborhood walk last night, and it felt really good. Just for about 15 minutes or so. I'm thinking we may do a little bit more of that. How about you guys? What's going on the Brewer home front?
Brewer home front. So Austin and I, my son and I, we got out and enjoyed the outdoors too. He has kind of gotten into disc golf. So there's lots of disc golf courses in the Northwest Arkansas area, kind of a thing that lots and lots of more have been doing since an outdoor event. They can do that more with the COVID stuff. He finally taught me into doing that. So I went out and picked up 3 discs, I guess.
Got your driver,
I got a driver,
iron?
a mid-range.
Okay, mid-range, and the putter.
And the putter.
Okay, nice.
And I made it through 14 holes before I lost the driver.
Which is considerably better than real golf, I'm assuming.
It really is. I tend to lose a golf ball a lot quicker. But yeah, that off into the woods it went. And my son was like, "Oh, we'll find it." It's still out there, Fayetteville disc golf course. So if you want to, if you're out there a disc golfer, you might look for it.
So you want it back, is what you're trying to say?
I would love to have it back. It was a purplish color, and I think a Pegasus was the name of the.
Oh, beautiful!
And also, that's mine. Love for you. There may be a small reward if you can find that brilliant tip. But yeah, we were able to get out and enjoy some of that great fun stuff as well. Hey, I do want to say, kind of on the home front, I am a U of A fan, but I grew up in Oklahoma.
Yep.
Went to Oklahoma State University.
Yep.
That's the Cowboys, not the Sooners. Okay.
Stillwater's a happening town, man.
Well, it's incredible. It's great. Of course, for all college, great memories for when you were there.
Of course it is.
Wouldn't necessarily want to live there now.
Right.
But I just want to be able to, right now, at this point in the season, when it comes to football, be able to say, because I don't know how much more longer it will last. But right now, the Oklahoma State Cowboys are leading the Big 12.
How about that?
Undefeated. They are in charge and at large. And on that track, they have broken into the top 10 nationally. And so I'm going to celebrate that this week, knowing that you can fall from that.
Bedlam is coming.
Real quickly.
It's coming, baby. Oklahoma got themselves a nice little 4 overtime win over Texas.
They did. Okay. All right.
Saturday.
Enough about my Cowboys.
But enough about the Cowboys.
Church things. Happening and going on. We've got Squad Wars.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because that's youth ministry stuff.
Well, you should know about that because Squad Wars is just about the biggest thing going. Let's just be clear about that.
But you still need to tell me what it is.
And I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and drop this little plant. If any of my students happen to see this, and just tell me on Wednesday night, I heard you, David. I will have a surprise for you then. Like you referenced this moment in the webcast.
Yeah.
I got you, okay?
He talked about like a $20 lunch.
That sounds a little high. That sounds a little high, but we can make it some ice cream. We can make it a Sonic drink, that kind of thing.
Okay.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
Squad Wars, though, so we divide our students into 4 squads, color squads. We vary it from year to year, but right now we're going black, green, orange, and pink.
Okay.
We've got them divided out pretty solidly.
Yeah.
And really the point of it is this. It's an opportunity to mix our students up a little bit more, where they can get so bound up into like their Sunday school divisions of like junior and senior girls and 7th and 8th grade boys and that kind of thing. Is what we do with this is we mix up the grades and the genders and make squads all the way across, where they just get that little bit of more focused interaction across those divides. It's pretty cool. So then we'll have a little competition we do each morning at Sunday school, and then on Wednesday nights It could be anything. It could be we're playing dodgeball. It could be any of our numbers games. It could be all kinds of stuff. And it's a really, really good time. Students competing, going at it hard, having.
You know, it harkens me way back to when I was in youth ministry as a junior high boy.
Yes.
A quiet, shy guy, not real comfortable at all around the girls.
Oh, me neither.
Things. So I really, even though sometimes it felt awkward, I really liked it when the youth minister put me in a group with those girls. I know that's not your ultimate goal,
it's
but
not the ultimate goal.
It's a great way to learn how to kind of connect with others in a safe environment. Right?
It is one of the best things about youth group in general. It really, really is.
Yeah.
Lance, you look a little cold today.
A little cold today.
Is there a reason we're rocking this?
Well, it's fall. It is fall, but it's probably knocking 80 degrees outside, isn't it?
Well, it's in the 70s anyway, probably.
Okay. Yes, this is my flannel, and you will probably see this at Flannel Fest as well. So Flannel Fest, I always have struggle with that. It's coming up. That's October the 28th.
Yep.
Big fellowship for the whole church to gather together.
Gonna be a blast.
It's gonna be a good time out at the Farmland Adventures,
which is out in Goshen Way.
Yeah. So check out the advertisement that's popping up here on your screen, and make sure you get the details on that and get registered for it and join us for that as well. But Flannel Fest is pretty good. So I was thinking about this. We call this Flannel Fest, but I got to thinking, where did flannel come from? And I knew that you are a history guy. And also, I'm going to think about the history of flannel. So start racking your brain, because I'm going to test David here, maybe you all as well. And also, I looked up some things about flannel. And also, think back to the origin of it. You're a history guy, so you could probably maybe think about some of this. The origin, what kind of country/culture would it have origined out of? Really, let's nail back
so
to
I'm thinking it originates like the word with the double N in the middle. Like it looks like a Germanic word. I could be convinced it's one of the German provinces or possibly Dutch Netherlands. So I'm just gonna go. It'd be like Swiss German. I'm gonna roll with just German.
Now, Dave. Like always, he is cerebral in his thinking and pulling things together.
Is my cerebrum a little off here?
And so the German is great, but they picked it up from.
No.
Yes, they took the name of the material. And what it worked out in German became flannel. But it originated in the Welsh culture, Wales. Yes. There, and then when you begin to think about
the Powells are Welsh. These are my people own flannel.
There you go. So man,
the Scots and the Irish, they get the plaid, but my people. Flannel's ours.
The flannel came there, and then it began to roll into kind of a plaid thing as well.
Wow.
So
that's news to me.
So there you go.
A
Welsh origin back to the 16th century time frame.
Man.
Here you go. Now I want you to think of jump into the Scotland era. Not era, but the historically.
Are you saying Scotland's time has passed? Are you trying to start a war? We got a lot of Scotch-Irish people here.
And actually, what I'm getting ready to talk about, it's still very much alive today. Yes, for sure. So I want you to think about colors, because you were talking about squad board colors. Colors were a big deal to different clans and things. And so the Black Watch. The Black Watch, it's Royal Regiment in Scotland when they rose up to claim the British throne in the 1700s.
Oh boy!
Here you go, the Black Watch. But what colors? What were their colors? Because it was that they would wear these colors into battle and things, and it would be these kind of flannel colors becoming plaid-like at the time.
So Black Watch is in a video game that I play. Age of Empires 3. Any of my guys out there watching this? But they changed the colors on. I want to say that it's I'm just going to say it's red and black, just like what you're wearing there.
Oh, you got half of it right. But it's blue and black. It was blue and black for him. So, all right, here we go. United States Olympic teams, Winter Olympics. What Olympic year, I'll give you three, what Olympic year did the snowboarding team don the plaid tops, kind of that flannel plaid top look?
The American
U.S. snowboarding team, 2010, 2014, or 2010, 2013, 2014, or 2018.
I would have watched a little bit of that. I'm trying to picture. I'm trying to picture Shaun White coming down, and I'm gonna say that was going down in 2014.
2010. Nice try. 2010. They're probably when they were first pretty big on the scene in the Olympics.
Because that's probably the first Olympics that snowboarding was even in.
Yeah, but they donned that kind of those plaid pants and had kind of a tear look actually in their jackets as well. All right. So here we go. Okay. What character in a sitcom show always, every time he donned the plaid flannel shirt? Home Improvement. What's the character's name? Al Borland. Al Borland from Home Improvement. He
played by Richard Karn.
Yep, Richard Karn.
Who was at a Razorback game while I was in college.
There you go.
I think he was an Auburn alum. So he's actually watching them, but he was really friendly to the students. So
there you go. Man. All right, move forward. A little more kind of some pop culture stuff. Maybe of our time. What 80s/90s pop music person really kind of famously wore flannel? You probably wouldn't have thought of rock, maybe kind of that rock grunge.
80s, 90s?
Yeah, famously wore flannel.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain! Ding, 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 ding!
Nirvana!
All right, the Nirvana guy. Okay, last one.
Entertain us.
Last one. What famous actress wore flannel, kind of a blonde icon?
Icon rocking the flannel? Are we talking like the 50s?
I did not realize this.
50s, 60s?
Well, that's all I'm going to give you. I'm just going to...
Well, because I'm leaning...
Okay. You can lean in where?
I'm leaning toward Marilyn Monroe.
Okay.
But that doesn't seem to be quite where you're going.
Well, goodbye, Norma Jean. You got it. You got it. Yep. Marilyn Monroe. I didn't realize that about her, but you look it up, and she donned a lot of flannel, especially in those younger years as well. All right, well, you did pretty well.
It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish.
Yes, it is. It is. The home stretch was good for you.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I didn't throw any backward passes that the refs had to come in behind and say was not a fumble or anything like that.
You're right. So you're right. Yeah.
Finished strong.
Yeah. You finished strong. The game was not stolen from you.
Man. Okay.
All right. Well, that's some church happening stuff. What else we got?
So, man, we sat down. When was that? That was Wednesday night, right after Youth Wednesday night. We sat down with Jeff and Jennifer Boogaart.
Oh, yeah. Great.
I said beforehand, I'm really looking at this interview because they're really funny and fun people. Yeah. And I was like, man, this is going to be a fun interview. It was a lot of fun. And we got some good stuff out of it, too. And we hope you guys enjoy this thing.
All right, so here we go. Jeff and Jennifer, we are so glad that you joined us here today. So we want to know a little bit more about you. Lots of folks know you, but I've already heard some stories that I wasn't familiar with that are going to be fun to hear. So tell us, where did it begin at? How did it start? I think there was a basketball game. Maybe there was something before that, but there was a basketball game that started. Jeff, you want to start that as a coach, but you were actually a player at this point.
A little background. I grew up in Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Yep. And I'm from Forest City, and I moved to Mountain Home March of my junior year in high school.
All right.
You might say our relationship, we started courting.
Oh, nice.
If you will.
Courting.
Our senior year in high school.
Now you're not that old.
We're not that old-fashioned. He actually asked me out on the basketball court.
That's good.
Do you remember who you were playing?
No, not at all.
Not important.
No, I really don't remember the opponent.
So senior year, she's cheering, and you are playing on the court, and you ask her out. And the specific line, Jeff.
Do you have plans after the game? I know it was deep in the bag of tricks,
but... Okay, I'm trying to picture this. So during a game, now, but you're on the court.
Yeah.
But I mean, surely you weren't just dribbling down the court and go time out.
That's valid. The ball was out of bounds,
okay.
And one of my jobs was to throw the ball in bounds.
Okay.
And so, as the official's about to hand me the ball, there's a little bit of a delay there, and the cheerleader standing next to me happened to be the girl that I had an interest in.
Oh, okay.
And so I just checked to see if her calendar was full on that particular evening.
So it wasn't just random that Jennifer happened to be that you were going to ask any cheerleader who happened to be standing out there. It was
not random.
Okay,
No,
gotcha. It's not just I'm having a really good game, I should ask a cheerleader out here.
I felt like she was enjoying my athletic prowess. as it were. And so I felt like maybe I should give her the opportunity to get me to know me more.
Gotcha.
I will tell you that the referee was impressed.
So the referee catches it.
We grew up very similar, actually.
Okay.
Our backgrounds. We were there every time the doors were open. I, after a Sunday evening service, asked my mom if, could I pray the prayer with you? And we did. And I walked the aisle the next Sunday morning. And
I was in second grade, and
Not too far
it was
from
a Sunday evening, and I remember thinking, I do not want to go to hell and live with the devil.
Right.
I want to go to heaven and live with Jesus. And so I told my mom, I'm going down there.
Gotcha.
As soon as this song starts, I'm going down there. And she was like,
There you go.
I went to the University of Arkansas.
Okay.
and I went to the University of Central Arkansas.
Okay.
And I graduated one weekend, he graduated the next. Memorial Day was the next weekend, and then we got married.
So how did you guys carry out the relationship while you guys were in college? How was this?
This was before texting.
Can we say thank God, probably?
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, relationships aren't healthy when they're built around the internet. There's not.
Yeah, no.
Honestly, it was the very, very beginning stages of email.
Right. Okay.
And so there were times later in our college career, our junior and senior year, where we would agree to meet.
Okay.
And it was almost instant messenger.
Okay.
Before that,
Okay.
that let's meet at 8:30, and I'll send you an email. And then she'll return an email.
Okay.
And so that was a cheap way because phone calls cost money.
That's right.
And, you had your minutes, and I would call her one night a week, and she would call me one night a week. But letters, we exchanged letters frequently. So.
Letters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Missy and
We've
I
got
have a
stacks
couple,
and
but it
stacks of
sounds like there
letters.
might be a lot because there's 4 years worth of this, right?
That's
Four
correct.
years of long distance relationship. And any Jennifer, any favorite letters you like to every now and then reminisce over that you could? Any favorite phrases that we're sharing in there that you would share?
No?
So there is
They
a favorite
were
phrase.
sweet.
There
They
are
were sweet.
there are
Okay.
some favorite. Okay, they were sweet. Okay, we'll leave it there.
And so you guys,
The year after we got married, Jennifer ran a freshman dorm on campus. That's a good story that I like
right.
to tell. The first year of my marriage, I lived with 441 women.
yeah, you guys are in Pomfret.
440 18-year-old girls, and my wife, who is 22.
Solomon over there.
That's right.
That I finished my master's that year, and Jennifer began work on hers, but the university was paying for us to live.
Gotcha.
So that was fantastic.
I forgot about that phase. And
then
it took-
we went to Mina.
And then to Mina, and you guys were there how long?
5 years in Mina.
And this was the coaching and teaching thing. Did you
That's
guys
right.
always know I wanted to be a coach and a teacher? Was that the plan for a long
Yes.
time? Gotcha. Cool. And then came up to Fayetteville. When and why?
We lived the normal life in Mina,
Okay.
the house and 2 jobs and quiet little town for 5 years, and then Jennifer was offered a job in Fayetteville.
Gotcha.
So you were in Mina for 5 years.
Yes.
That's where
That's where Meredith was
Meredith
born.
was born there?
Yes.
All right. How long had y'all been married at that point?
We were dinks for 4 years,
Okay, yeah.
and
yeah.
then
For those that aren't familiar with the dink term,
double income, no kids.
praise the Lord. That's
Yes.
some good times.
And so we were there a few years by ourselves, growing up, away from mom and dad.
Yeah.
And the best thing that could have ever happened to us.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
there were, and even having a child away from everyone because we had to figure everything out and
Rely on each other.
rely on each other. There weren't grandparents by. There weren't really people we knew, and
Yeah.
and so it helped our relationship big time to grow up.
Okay, so Meredith, you said, was 2 when you guys came into Fayetteville. So you had her in Mina. Obviously, and so Meredith with a heart condition was a really big moment in your life. When did you guys discover this? When did this really come on the radar for you guys?
When Meredith turned 4 years old,
Okay.
we took her to her well child checkup, which every child has to go to.
Right.
You just go.
Right.
And at that well child appointment, they checked her heart rate several times.
Okay.
Us being non-medical people, that means nothing to
Right.
us. But they continued to check it and said it was a little high. and maybe you guys could just go from here onto the emergency room. And we didn't grasp what was going on. In fact, I'm pretty confident that I said we hadn't eaten.
Yeah.
We had like a 1 o'clock appointment, and we'll just go eat right after this is over. And I said, could we run down to Chili's and have a meal before we go to the emergency room? Is that okay? And they were like, no, you really need to go right now. And we're, oh, okay. And we still had no idea that we were an hour away from them putting her in a helicopter and taking her from us. And so that it was a defining moment there of.
And then she spent the next 7 days in cardiovascular intensive care, trying to slow her heart down and get some medicine that would regulate it, and try to find out what was going on with it.
So
her heart was beating too fast.
Okay.
And we actually, to make the story broader, we had a vacation planned. 2 days after this, we were headed to Disney World, taking our 4-year-old to Disney World, the magic, right? We almost didn't go to the appointment because, like, we had so many things to get ready and do and get the house ready.
Wow.
And the doctors in Little Rock told us she would have died in the park.
Wow.
Because the only sign or symptom she would have showed us is she was tired. And what kid's not tired at Disney World?
A 4-year-old, right.
And he said, it's truly a miracle you kept the appointment. And we confirmed, no, it's actually God.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But we really seriously considered not going to the appointment because we had so many things to do.
Wow.
But her heart had been, and they never could tell us or pinpoint how long it had been going, for almost 200 beats a minute. But a normal heart beats under 100.
Okay.
And so it was wearing out.
Gotcha.
So
So long story short, a virus attached to her atrial appendage. And so it's like a little thumb that is on your heart. It's the one part of your heart that you can live without.
Okay.
And so when we went through all kinds of
I bet you did.
testing and visits, and we were at Children's once a month and sometimes once a week, and just a lot of uncertainty. I mean, one time she would, they thought maybe she had tachycardia, and the next time maybe she had long QT syndrome. And then, they just could not figure out what had happened. So she went in for the first procedure, and when they came out, we were watching the monitor. We got pretty proficient at watching those numbers, and we said, it didn't work. Whatever they did didn't fix her problem. And the nurse said, you have to speak with the doctor.
And then keep going. Yeah.
And so she went in a couple of weeks later, and the doctor said, we opened her up, and we're all just sitting there looking at her, and one surgeon just pinched that part of her heart, and the rest of her heart beat normally. So we just decided to cut off part of her heart. And he said, it's amazing that the virus had attached to the one part of your heart that you can live without. We were like, it's not amazing. We have such an incredible story of all of the miracles. I mean, just it really is a faith story that we love to share with other people. Well,
and how many years did this? How many years did Meredith's heart condition journey go over?
Okay. From the initial 4-year-old well child checkup, she was released, if you will, by Children's when she was 12.
I was thinking around.
So, fear when medical things happen to your little bitty baby. How did that? Because I've already heard you say you respond with, no, these weren't just amazing things; these were miraculous things that God did. I heard you say those things, but how did fear and uncertainty and all those things play in the midst of your faith and that? Can you speak to that for a minute?
We had honestly a peace and a confidence through the whole time, really, until that we'd look forward to this heart procedure. They're going to fix it. They're going to fix it. They're going to fix it. And that first heart procedure when she was 8 lasted 7.5 hours, and yet they were confident, like, this is going to work. This is going to work. And as Jennifer said, we saw those numbers. And that night, I remember being on my knees in the tile floor at Children's. I know you're the great physician, and I know you have plans, but I felt like this was it. I mean, I was thinking through, like, I really thought this was going to be the time and it was 3 weeks later where they found the part they could cut off in an open heart procedure. But that was a tough evening after that long surgery.
So you guys live in Fayetteville, but you teach at a Springdale school and have been in there how long?
I have been there about 15 years.
Why did you stay in Springdale?
Jeff calls my school a public Christian school.
Okay.
It's not like any school you've ever visited. The relationships among the staff are incredible. It's a place that's full of believers. We pray over our school. We pray over each other. It's the atmosphere and the people that kept me there.
I mean, was there a temptation to? We live in Fayetteville. My husband's teaching in Fayetteville. Kind of that perspective of being in the same school district and all that kind of. Were there temptations
Sure,
at times?
yeah. So Meredith went to elementary school with me.
That's right.
Okay.
And then when she transferred into Fayetteville, she was in middle school. And I did think about maybe transferring so we could all be on the same schedule and in the same district. But I don't know. There's just something about those relationships. And, when you have something good, why give it up?
Support. Huh?
How does faith intersect with work for you guys?
I don't mean this to be trivial, but I think that teaching is a calling.
Okay.
And so you just know that that's your mission field. And so you have an opportunity or more every single day to positively impact somebody's life, encourage them, make a difference in a child or parent's life. And so I think that you just have to keep that on the forefront of your mind, that this is your mission field. And if it's stressful, like right now during COVID, things are different than normal. But there's still some really good things happening in the midst of the chaos. And so you just have to keep that on the forefront of your mind, that this is where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, and it's an important calling.
That's good. What has COVID been like for you guys this year? How has that, specifically with the schools, how has that been?
With schools, it's been a challenge, just because nobody was ready to stop going.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in the sense we hated not to be in the building,
Right.
just the how are we going to get instruction to their homes and meet them where they are.
Right.
And so that was a real challenge for teachers to grasp. And in the spring, we didn't do nearly as well as we're doing in the fall, because I feel like we're so much more prepared now, and through in-service and preparedness. But it was different for sure, and it looks different nearly every day.
I think that one thing that's really stuck out to me is the relationships. You just realize how important those relationships are, and the kids are so excited to be around their peers and with their teachers, and when you just cut down to the bare bones, it's all about those relationships.
Why First Baptist Church? What you connect with First Baptist Church? Let's start with there. How did you get connected here at First Baptist Church?
I think First Baptist Church in Fayetteville is so similar to the churches that we grew up in. And since then, so why FBC, I think, would maybe be your follow-up question, if I'm predicting.
Well, for sure.
I really think it's all about community.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I have talked about this. Between the two of us, we think there are two committees in this church that we have not served on. So we have found our community. We found our place to serve. We have loved just being part of this body. And
when I think of First Baptist Church and the Bogarts involved in it, I think of there's some things being done because the Bogarts are here and they're doing it. Now you talked about all the committees. Give me those two committees you haven't served on. We'll get you on them.
We don't want to be on
I figured as much.
Activities?
Done that one.
Okay.
What does serving mean to you?
I think we've watched as we've grown up our parents serve in the church. When we got to this church, our Sunday school teachers were the Moores and the Tannenbergers and the McCoys, and lifeblood of our church still today.
Absolutely.
And that's a great example, not only in our own families, but those families still were living it out and just giving all they have to serve others and the Lord. Obviously.
And so they do things like include you in that service. The McCoys, take us into that biker breakfast, and washing those motorcycles, but service, I think we also felt like it was important to model for Meredith, because we've heard so many things about kids growing up in the church and then leaving because they don't feel connected, and we didn't want that for her. We want her to know, like, what you do is important and it makes a difference. So the church needs you. Serve the church.
Parent life. So you guys were just key youth group parents for 5 years while I was here. I think the big thing that you guys did obviously was with F&F, fellowships and fun and energy and that kind of stuff, as well as Jennifer early, and then both of you ended up going on with us on the road to camps, that sort of thing. Why did you guys go about being youth parents the way that you did?
You mentioned F&F.
Yep.
When Meredith was, I guess, leaving Lisa Wheat's ministry out of childhood education, there was kind of a gap, if you will, in middle school.
Sure.
And especially when our church has the Friday night parents' night, or I forget what they call it now, parents' night out and Sunday school fellowships. If you had middle school children, you just couldn't go.
Right.
And so we felt like we could serve the kids, and we could also provide an activity outside the walls of the church.
Yeah.
And so we just encouraged Meredith's age group is the first one that was started, but bring other people with you. And we had just some outstanding numbers in the very beginning of just doing fun activities. And then, some of those kids actually happened into Sunday school, a couple times. So that was fun to kind of bridge a little gap there. So.
Yeah, you guys did awesome with that. Let me shift that question to you, Jennifer. You were with me on as many road trips and to as many events as any parent we've had. Do you have a favorite story from the road or event or happening or anything like that?
So, David, do you remember in Glorietta, this was a neat trip to
which you were both
all
on.
three of us,
That's right.
Meredith, Jeff, and I all got to go. And it was the last night, and we had been serving that camp for long hours.
Like dogs,
and many days. And we had been working in the mud pit, which I loved, totally loved. And we were going to be leaving the next morning, and I remember the camp director said, y'all come on out to the parking lot and let's just kind of, hang or whatever. And
this is on a string of like 6 17-hour days in a row, possibly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, no, Mama needs sleep because we got to get on the road in the morning and I need to go to bed. But one of our very favorite memories is that night where they just started strumming on the guitar and singing worship
Open skies,
songs.
sitting under the stars.
Yeah, it was really incredible. So that's one of my very favorite memories.
That's a good one.
Okay.
All right, Jennifer, what is the Boogaart's history with personality tests?
Okay, when we moved to Mena, Curtis Powell lived there.
Grandpa.
And he was about the closest to us in age. I mean, it was one of those type experiences. So we were about 23, maybe?
Yes.
22, 23. Mm-hmm. We moved to Mena. We were the only young people there. And so we decided to go to a parenting class at our church just to try to make friends.
Okay.
And so we took that lion, beaver, otter, golden retriever personality test.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will have to just say, there was a man, Jeff doesn't want me to say this, he was a coach. Okay, so he was a psychopath, a total crazy nut. And he yelled at people in the community, and he was crazy, and we were scared of him a little bit. Okay, so we take this personality test, and the lady's returning them, and she gets in front of us, and she stands with her hands on her hips. She says, never have children. And we were like, okay. So she hands back our papers, and we're both lions.
Yeah.
And Jeff's score is higher than the Psycho Man, as far as
That's
lion,
good, yeah.
lioness.
Lion tendencies.
Yeah. So we did later talk to the lady and say, why did you tell us not to have kids? And she said, the only thing 2 lions have is a baby lion. And we had a baby lion.
There you go.
There you go. It's worked out well. It's worked out well. Well, we're thankful the Holy Spirit dwells in Jeff,
There you go.
evidently.
That's right. Rein that line
for
in.
sure. Family tradition on vacations has been Major League Baseball parks. I discovered about the second or third year I was here in Fayetteville, going, man, they keep going to these ballparks, and then I realized this is a plan. So the Major League ballpark visits, how many have you done, and why did you do it?
It started because, Jennifer requested, and she's really smart. We know this.
Clearly.
Yes.
But she said, what do you think if we set a goal to go to all the Major League ballparks? And before I could think, I jumped right in. Well, Jennifer, it got her to 30 major cities around the United States. But we, in fact, did see all 30 Major League Baseball parks.
That's awesome.
All the home parks. And then I think we've been to 3
new
teams
ones.
who have built new ones. So maybe we've been to about 33
Okay.
Of the parks.
So where did you finish it out?
Boston was our last one. We kind of set it up to be last because
That's
it was
awesome.
one of the originals.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And then I'll just. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
The nicest, neatest atmosphere was Pittsburgh.
It's awesome, isn't it?
And I would say they're
Out of nowhere.
they're trying to make up for their bad baseball.
Yeah, right.
I think that's
Right.
more it.
That bridge.
The worst park probably is Oakland.
Okay.
Just because they don't put any money in it. It's a football stadium. They're playing baseball in. It's just a cement jungle. I mean, it's not very nice. Just not.
Cool. I love it. Hey guys, thanks for sitting down with us, and we
Yeah.
had a blast. I thought we'd have a blast, and we did.
Enjoyed you guys. Y'all were
Thanks for
awesome.
having us.
Thank you.
Fun interview. Really enjoyed sitting down with Jeff and Jennifer. And just on the heels of that, Lance, I got to ask you, when did you ask Missy out,
I asked Missy out.
and how?
But we were post-college, both serving, we were beyond, we both served as interns in this local church. I was continuing to serve on staff there. She was teaching now. I needed to make about a 50-minute trip from our town into Tulsa to return some sound equipment from an event. And I asked her, would she go with me? And I made sure it worked around where we could have a meal together while we were there. And so as we went, I said, hey, have you eaten? What's it like? She goes, no, I haven't. I said, well, how about we take care of this and then we'll grab a bite to eat. So grabbed a bite to eat. We went to Chili's there in Tulsa. I paid for the meal because I kind of insisted on I wanted to be able to buy the meal, do that even though I really hadn't formalized this was the date, but asked her to go do this. And on the way back, we just got talking about various things, and I think I brought up the question. So what really kind of signifies something as a date? And she said, well,
DTR.
I guess when somebody goes out with someone, okay. I said, well, we did that today, right? I mean, I just kind of, and she said, well, yeah, we did.
Kelsey's out there like, yes.
And I said, so anything else that helps define as a date? And she said, well, if somebody, helps, maybe the guy buys the meals where I've kind of already, I said, well, I did that today, didn't I?
And then stops off on the way back and buys her some nice jewelry also. And
she wasn't quite that quick.
She needs a new belt.
To throw that in there. So by the end of that trip back, I had settled on and even told her, I said, hey, so this is our first date, right?
Okay.
Implying there would be more. And so that was kind of the beginning of that first date. Of saying, let's we wanted to start dating each other. Yeah.
And did you guys write letters?
We were in the same town together for the after that for the next until we got married.
So you guys weren't doing the long
and
distancing.
so we
like
weren't
the
doing the
Boogaarts.
long distancing. And all. I originally wrote her a letter letting her know I would be in that town for the summer. That has its whole other story with it as well.
And she's got that framed on your wall even now, right? The moment.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. Hey, what did you actually take away from the interview?
That was really kind of my walkaway. Wow, to think about how they describe God's faithfulness and peace and movement, especially around the events of Meredith's heart episode and issue for those immediate and then the years to come as well. But even just their story of how they connected and how they stayed in touch through college and their married life. I mean, it's all those things, marking those things and remembering this is God working in our lives and that promise they continue. It kind of reminds me of so just yesterday, so this is Monday, so just yesterday, our Sunday school lesson for our adults, we're in Isaiah. I know you're a couple weeks behind with the youth, but studying Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 31, Isaiah is warning the people of God. Don't go anywhere else but to God for your safety, your security, your provision, your protection, because they were wanting to almost 700 years later, right about that time, after they had already been delivered from Egypt. They were going back to Egypt saying, we need your alliance to protect us from others. And,
great Egypt, come and save us.
Come and save us. And I can just imagine Isaiah going, what? what's going on? I mean, he must have been so
Remember Exodus?
perplexed in that, because he even says there, you are, Isaiah's words, God's words to the people. You will want to go depend on their horses. And that's a big deal in military action. Horses in battle win. And also that's why they wanted this alliance. And to think back to when they were delivered out of Egypt, crossing that desert, come across this great body of water, up between this water and chariots and parts of the water, lets them go through, and then the horses consumed by the water. That God took care of that already. Right. And you want to go back to it? That we ought to remember what God did, and then say, oh, let's be obedient to it as well. It just keeps pointing forward, those things. So,
that's good.
So yeah, what about you?
Well, man, I'm going to continue that for a moment. One of the more interesting little word studies or phrase studies you can go back in the Old Testament is look at the times that a phrase like "as it is to this day," or "as it's said to this day," or this. Go and see this rock that's located here. When you see that stone, that's where that stone come from. You think about Joshua and the Jordan when they crossed, and they go, I want elders from each one of you tribes. Go pick up one of these stones and set it down over there, so that when people come back, they can point and say, those are the physical stones. Do you remember when God came and delivered us? Like, I love that all over the New Testament. Or even like this last Wednesday night, we were in the offering of Isaac, Genesis chapter 22. And it's so cool. I am a history guy, despite my performance on that quiz at the beginning of this. In that story, so like you've got those events taking place like 2000 BC. You got Moses living 500-600 years after that. Him writing. You got maybe some compilers helping later on. But it's written in the writings there, as it is said to this day. So hundreds of years later, remembering that event, as it is said to this day, in the mountain of the Lord it will be provided. Which is pretty cool to think about, let's say, between 2000 BC and like 1500 BC. And then you think of that pointing forward another 1,000 plus years to the day that Jesus, in 30-ish AD, goes to the cross, and in the mountain of the Lord it is provided. The importance of remembering what God has already done, which instructs us about what God will do in the present now. So good. And so it's important that we remember, like we talked about before, and you were saying that we log away those stories. And we personally, individually remember these moments. We remember the journey. We remember the pain, and we remember the loneliness, and we remember the uncertainty. I mean, hopefully, like someday that's going to be how we remember 2020. Do you remember how terrible life in this world was in 2020? Do you remember when like all of our instructions were stay away from each other and stay in your houses and don't do anything? But God will see us through. And we'll look back and we'll remember this time right now. That's awesome. And I'll just bring up just one other thing from the interview, and that was this. And I think we brought this out a few times. But there was a reason we started our interview series with First Connect with the Tannerbergers, because we said these guys they're just model church members. They seem to get referenced a lot by people who've been here for a while. And the Boogaarts pointed back to their days as young marrieds in the young married department with Tannerbergers and the Moores and the McCoys. Watching them, listening to them, learning from them. My guess is, that the Tannerbergers, the Moores, McCoys wouldn't have necessarily seen themselves in that time as like, great prophets of God and mentors, but people are watching. They are, and they're learning and they're observing, and there's such an opportunity in those sorts of contexts to rub off into other stuff.
Tremendous. Cool. What else?
Nothing, man. I was just about to say, I think this is a pretty good episode. I think we've had some fun, and we hope you guys enjoyed it as well.
Thanks.
Catch you next week.